Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember that if you want to be a part of this tech conversation, you can find us on SABC Network. Now that's on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network. Now, since Instagram has a new feature that allows you to share your stories with only a selected group of people, today our Twitter poll is asking if you use Instagram stories at all. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Here's what's coming up in the show today. New technologies showcased at Northwest University in Potchefstroom. Info on brand new spaces for tech startups in Midrand. And our discussion is on the .za domain. It's the most popular country domain in Africa. ZA Central Registry Marketing Head, Khomotso Mosenogi, is here for that one. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
How important is this new feat of 1.2 million registered domains?
The South African second-level domain names have finally surpassed the 1.2 million registrations. And this achievement or milestone is actually testament to the fact that South Africans are finally taking charge of their digital products, proudly South African digital products.
All right, Khomotso, hold it there. We will have that discussion later in the program. But first, your technology and social media news. Now, students and lecturers from Northwest University are displaying their engineering achievements. Their innovations are expected to make a contribution towards medical treatment in rural areas. The Northwest University hosted its first research and innovation conference in Potchefstroom. Nicolene Smalman has this one for us.
The new hand at work. A physiotherapist can program this to exercise the hand and forearm of a patient who has suffered a stroke. The patient's progress can be monitored and the new hand can be adjusted accordingly.
We are designing a product that can actually be rolled out to the general population. That's something that people in rural communities can use, whether at home or maybe at a clinic where they can go and do the exercises a few times a day.
It was a challenge for these electronic and computer engineers.
The hand is a very complex structure, and we had to really understand how it works and then to suit the technology to the hand and determine how much force would we need to exert so that we do not injure a patient or do too little. So that was one of the big challenges, and we've had a master's degree student focusing on that aspect specifically, determining what force a typical physical therapist would apply to a patient in order to perform their exercises if they were to supervise it personally.
An impressive gadget display is an app that has the potential to diagnose a metabolic syndrome. It's less invasive and cheaper than blood tests, and patients can get referred to specialists sooner.
The general idea of this app, or let me rather say the system, is not to replace doctors, but to get people quicker to the doctor. As an example, if someone is screened for metabolic syndrome in a clinic, then we can earlier rather than later refer that person to a GP. If we screen a person for glaucoma, then we can send that person to the ophthalmologist for a confirmation of the diagnosis and thereby prevent blindness.
Delegates from the Department of Science and Technology say it's important for researchers to align themselves with the goals of government's National Development Plan.
There's three things that would be very important for universities to do. One is to maintain excellence and to build on the excellence that is developed. As a country, we don't want to neglect excellence. Secondly is to make sure that they continue developing human capital that we require to build our research system, but a much more bigger focus on ensuring that we bring in new entrants into our research system. And then the third is to be able to work more closely with government, with industry, with international partners to make sure that the good, excellent research that we have in our university sector is commercialized and achieves social and economic benefits.
The inventions will soon be subjected to clinical trials.
Brilliant South African innovation there. Now, Vodaworld in Midrand has new innovation spaces that can be used by tech startups. Producer Sandile Hlangani went there to find out for us.
For businesses and startups alike, achieving success and growth depends on a support network and ecosystem in which to collaborate. This week, Vodacom launched a tech hub to host a variety of different industries and technologies spanning from educational tech, health, and financial technology.
What we've tried to get going here is a digitally connected world that is future-proof. We want to make sure that it's absolutely customer-centric. We want to make sure that it's radically simple and that we're using technology to enable all of these things.
The goal of all is to create a motivating work environment where businesses of all kinds can learn from each other, make connections, develop new skills, and get inspired to reach the next level.
We've got our Enterprise Experience Center that talks to the business to business and from large enterprises to small enterprises. So that space allows Vodacom to showcase how our technology can enable our partners and our clients, as it were. So it's a collaboration. So Vodacom will show you what they can offer, but there's a space that's created that you, as the SME or as the large enterprise that is engaging in that space, can say, I like a little bit of this, I want a little bit of that. How do I collaborate and tailor-make a solution that will suit my business?
Samsung Electronics is expected to launch its Ring video surveillance here, a smart security solution that allows users to monitor their property using a smartphone.
Once I press the Ring button, it does pick up onto my phone already. So it shows me that there is somebody at the door. It's either I can answer it and talk to the person. So if I do answer, I can say, hi, I will come and open now. So for instance, if there's somebody that's intruding, it shows me there's movement. So if I do go to the movement, it would show me that there's somebody that's moving there, as you can see.
The Tech Hub will also provide a co-working space as well as research, incubation, and acceleration services for new startups.
The workspace is open to the public, again using that booking platform to check what's available. We've got 3 different spaces from a workspace point of view. We've got 2 traditional boardroom environments, and we've got what we're calling a co-creation space.
Vodacom is confident that this partnership will empower startups and young entrepreneurs towards digitization and enhance productivity.
Even though Facebook for Kids is only a relatively new thing, a 13-year-old Moroccan chef has been on the social network for almost half his life. He's also been on YouTube as well. Omar Ashan is really popular on social media. He's even won Personality of the Year in Morocco's Web Awards. 13-year-old Omar Ashan from Morocco has become a social media star after garnering hundreds of thousands of views on videos of him preparing simple meals and sharing recipes.
I began cooking because I'm a cook. I began cooking at 5 and I began my Facebook channel and my YouTube channel at 7 years old. Why? Because I had to use my hand, because I can't walk, I can't move my legs, so I have a sickness that's called myopathy, and I don't have a lot of muscles.
The young amateur chef was diagnosed with myopathy at birth. It's a rare disease that stiffens muscle fibers and limits the use of one's limbs. After his doctors recommended that he engages in various physical activities to train his fingers, his mother taught him to bake bread. Omar, a single child, liked cooking so much that his mother started filming their sessions and posting the videos, which are peppered with positive messages on Facebook and YouTube.
I won't hide the truth. We did live through a period of sadness and tears. At some point, we had to ask ourselves what we were doing and where we were heading. That was the moment that Omar's story began. I told him to see everything negative from a positive angle, even though I wasn't there myself. And with time, Omar began showing me that it was all true. It's up to us to decide whether we will live in a negative or positive society. Negative things have to be seen in a positive light so that we can live positively.
Ever optimistic, Omar even leads cooking classes in his school.
My advice is to keep smiling with the heart, not with the lips. Second thing, to stay positive, like to see everything nicely, not badly, but nicely. And third thing is to keep hope, because if you can do something, you will have to retry it and retry it till you get to it.
Omar has won a variety of awards, including Personality of the Year at Morocco's Web Awards. He hopes to become an international professional chef and possibly manage a football team. All right, it is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Now, after the break, we chat about the .za domain with Khomotso Mosenogi, who is the marketing head at ZA Central Registry. Stay with us.
We pride ourselves on being impartial as well as independent. On the agenda, we basically break down the stories of the day.
Give the viewer the assurance that we will cover every side of the story.
Tear gas has now been also thrown at the protesters. We are peacefully marching and the police is stopping the people, they're hitting the people, who are spraying the people with pepper spray. These people are supposed to protect us, but they are against us.
We are pushing them back by using the rubber bullets because we cannot allow them to block the roads and damage other people's property.
Quite important to bring on board all sides and hear what everybody has to say about a story, especially being the public broadcaster.
All in all, we basically take the news agenda of the day forward.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, the .za domains have surpassed 1.2 million registrations. This means South Africa has the most country domain registrations in Africa. To talk to us about this is Khomotso Mosenogi, who is the marketing head at ZA Central Registry. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Khomotso.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me.
Khomotso, what do you think that you are doing right for you to reach 1.2 million?
I think this feat can be attributed to a couple of factors. I think the first one would be the issue of affordability. Cost. So we always try and strive to keep the domain names very affordable in South Africa, and I think that is a contributing factor. Another factor could be the technological infrastructure that we have in the country, which leads to then another factor, which is around trust and reliability. The fact that major corporations trust the domain names that we have, the second-level domain names that we have, the fact that we've never had any downtime in like 30 years that we have been in operation, that is testament to the growth that we're seeing. ZA Central Registry is the largest registry operator on the continent. We have 1.2 million, over 1.2 million domain names registered. I think the second one on the continent is Gabon, and this was a research that was done by Nominet, I think it was in 2016, and it showed that they only had about just over 300,000 registrations. So you
All
can
right,
just...
So South Africa first, then Gabon. What then happens to Nigeria? .ng, Nigeria has what, almost 3 times the size of South Africa's population?
Exactly. During that research, it showed that Nigeria only had just over 16,000 registrations of the second-level domain names. And just to explain what a second-level domain name is, South Africa's country code is ZA. So we administer as a central registry the second-level domain names. This will be all the .ZAs that are on the second level. That will be the iconic co.za, web.za, org.za, and net.za. So combined, all 4 of those domain names have surpassed 1.2 million registrations. And I think it's a feat that needs to be acknowledged and celebrated by all South Africans.
So there are still others. So there's gov.za, there's ac.za. You don't administer
We do not administer those. Those are what we call moderated domain names. So you have to be a certain type of organization to be able to use them. Gov.za, you have to be a government institution for you to be able to use it. ac.za, you have to be an academic institution to be able to use it. Whereas with the co.za, you just have to be a commercial entity, and it just simply says you're a commercial entity and you trade in South Africa. org.za is normally used by not-for-profit organizations. Net.za is it's mostly used by network operators and the like.
But there still is a small number of your .za that's not used by people within South Africa, like other African countries might choose to register .za.
I think that is the beauty of internet, that it has no boundaries. So anyone across the world, if you feel that you want to affiliate with South Africa by the use of a ZA, if you want to associate your products, services, and information to South Africa, you are more than welcome to do that. That is enabled by the model that we currently use, which is the RRR model, where we have the regulator who regulates the domain name space in South Africa, and that will be ZEDNA, the ZA Domain Name Authority. We are then the other R in the RRR model, that is a registry operator, and we do not sell domain names directly to the end user. That means that you have to go to what we call a registrar or an ISP for you to be able to procure the domain name. So I can't come to you and
say, I need this domain name.
Unfortunately, you cannot, but you go through an ISP or registrar. They procure that name from us. And the reason for that is that a domain name on its own can't function. So you need other support functions for a domain name to be able to operate. So for instance, you need hosting services, you probably need an email. We do not offer those. What we do is that we just administer domain names. So you get a domain name from us, and other support functions you will have to procure from another entity, which is the registrar.
Now, the African Union has also asked you guys to take care of the .africa domain. Tell us about .africa. Who gets it? How does it work?
.africa was launched to the general public last year in July. So it's been in operation for just over a year. It was endorsed or given to us by the African Union to administer on behalf of the continent. Currently, we are edging very close to 20,000 registrations after a year of being in operation. And the same process also applies. For you to procure a .africa domain name, you have to go via the ISPs or the registrars for you to get your .africa domain name. But the difference with the .za domain space is that the ISPs just need to be ZACR accredited, whereas with the geographic top-level domains like .africa, .durban, .cape town, and .joburg, which are also administered by us, you have to go through an ICANN accredited registrar. ICANN is an acronym for the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, so you have to be ICANN accredited for you to be able to trade and sell .africa domain names or other geographic top-level domains.
Why is .africa more expensive than .za?
The issues around pricing is, firstly, geographic top-level domain names are, by their nature, more expensive than the CCTLDs or the SLDs. And the reason for that is that they are administered by ICANN, as I've already mentioned. So there's certain fees that have to be paid over to ICANN for the geographic top-level domains as well as the generic top-level domains. So that's why there's a price variance in the SLDs as well as the geographic top-level domains.
All right. Can I register a name and then you tell me that I can't register it?
Most definitely. What we call the who is system. So for you to be able to buy a domain name, firstly, when an ISP initiates that purchase process, they firstly have to check for availability of the name. So they will do that on what we call the who is system, which is a system that the public can also use. You can log on to all our websites, either the registry.africa website or the ZACR website, and you're able to see whether the name is available and who the registrar of that domain name is. The reason for that is obviously we cannot register more than the same domain name twice, because that will obviously cause problems. And there's also issues of, especially when we launch a domain name, issues of trademark protection, where we then give the trademark owners preferential rights to procure their names first, to protect their trademarks before we actually open it up to the general public.
All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we also caught up with media personality Boji Bigwa, who told us about his favorite piece of technology.
Hello, hi, this is Boji Bigwa, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My favorite technology, right? My favorite form of technology, using the right English, it's my cell phone. I am obsessed. I type, I work, I print, I do videos, my whole life is in here, like literally on my cell phone. And then there's what we call the microwave, quick, fast, then out. That's it.
This is a space for every woman in South Africa.
I want to speak to the women who cannot walk a kilometer in this country without looking over their shoulders, without being groped or harassed.
I was not born like this. In 2011, I got stabbed by a boyfriend.
How many centimeters? How many centimeters long is the political will to end the scourge of violence against women, against children?
I was locked up in the room for 2 weeks.
There are measures, there are laws, there are policies. But these policies and measures and laws do not speak to these lived realities.
We must fight the culture of gender-based violence.
This is where young men must be taught that women are not their footballs. This is where young men must be taught to respect women.
Siyanibulisa nonke emakhaya. Anything is possible with Lotto, Lotto Plus 1 and Lotto Plus 2. Give your family the extraordinary festive they deserve. Here are the winning numbers.
3, 29, 27, 21, 7, 12, and the bonus ball is 39. Let's recap the numbers in numerical order. 3, 7, 12, 21, 27, 29, and the bonus ball is 39.
Where's Debs?